Three, two, one. Welcome back. This is the Lightforge tier list arena Ashes of Outlands valuation stream, and we are now doing Demon Hunter. First class we're doing, and if you are wondering if we are doing all the Demon Hunter cards, we are not. The basic cards and the initiate cards we went over the scores before in the previous Lightforge podcast. So if you go to Lightforge podcast, never mind. I forgot to hit record.
Oh my god.
Oh, you did so much work during this segment. Alright, okay. Let's see. Let me know when you're ready again. We're gonna
This is why I don't trust you when you say, yes, I have the previous segment. Oh my god. Alright, also count faster.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back. This is the Lightforge Arena tier list card valuation stream for Ashes of Outlands. We are doing the Demon Hunter right now, which is the first class we're doing. And if you're wondering about the Demon Hunter basic cards or the initiate cards, we've actually split them up, and we did those earlier in the last Lightforge. That is Lightforge 242. So you can go there. They're on our YouTube. They're on wherever you're getting this podcast from. They're in the same place. And you can go look for the valuations of those if you care about analysis of those cards and the scores. Here we are going to kind of mention them because people may not be too familiar with them, and we'll tell you what they are if we make a comparison. But we're just going to do the Ashes of Outlands cards because this is a Ashes of Outlands card valuation stream. But those other cards, no one's ever played with them in the arena before, so they're going to be new to everybody. I will say that in that podcast, if you listen to it, I watched it, we made a very strong statement that the core of Demon Hunter in basic and initiate sets, the core of it between the hero power and all the cards and the lack of like 6 drops and like 7 drops and like whatever, means that you have to go very fast. The class just doesn't make it to the late game. And you're going to see here that the Ashes of Outland cards are going to come in and change that. So if Ashes of Outlands ever rotates out, you're going to go back into that super aggressive style. But the Ashes of Outlands will actually give Demon Hunters a decent ability to play a more control-y kind of game. So it's good to have that balance in the class. But so if you're wondering from the last review, you're like, oh, they were totally wrong on Demon Hunter. No, we're right. Just without Ashes of Outlands, which we caveated for beforehand. And now with Ashes of Outlands, we're going to tell you how the playstyle quote-unquote changes, even though you've never seen the class without Ashes of Outlands.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So do we want to start by the order of like the best cards to the worst cards?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's start with the best cards. And like Advocate said, you're going to see a theme, which is, wow, good big cards, which is not something that we saw previously. The best big card previously was Flame Reaper. Right?
Which is still the number one card.
Which is still a number
Demon
one
Hunter.
card. Yeah, it's coming at a 195. Flame Reaper is a 7-mana 4/3. Also damages the minions next to whomever your hero attacks. Not from Ashes of Outland, but we're talking about it, so we want to go over it. But the best card from Ashes of Outland for Demon Hunter is an 8-mana creature. 8 mana for 9/5 with Rush. Death Rattle, summon a 5/9 Warlord with Taunt. So, for 8 mana, you get a 9/5 Rush, and then if it dies, / once it dies, you summon a 5/9 Taunt.
So
Holy moly, that's a lot of stats.
Yeah, I want to put what a 171 means in context. Chaos Nova, which is a 5-mana Flame Strike that hits both sides, that's a 175. That's an insanely good card. 171, it's hard to make comparisons with Demon Hunter because Chaos Nova is the most, the closest it gets. Let's just look at Mage. A 175 is a rolling fireball on Mage. It's better than a fireball, like a regular fireball. Like, it's a really good premium card.
Yeah.
But, like I said before, in the very first episode, for class cards, I consider anything over 150 to be overpowered and anything over 175 to be broken and game altering, even for this like post Year of the Dragons kind of meta. Whereas 150 was my previous standard, just because they've like upped the power level so much. And class cards can be better than neutral cards, right? They give your class identity. But anything over 175 is definitely like, you should never print this card, and that's where Flame Reaper came in at. But Koei Warlord is below that line. It's still above the line that I'm comfortable with, but it's just like know that it's a super premium card, but it's not pushing any boundaries.
Yes. Look, this is just really, really freaking good. For 8 mana, like we said, all right, this is the meta of like initiative and taunt, and if you make an 8 mana card, it better have so much stats. It better be ridiculously overstated and give you an immediate effect. This does all of that. Like, this busts all expectations for what you get for 8 mana. Like, this for 8 mana is already so much better than that stupid Scrapyard Colossus for 10 mana, right? Like, so much better. Would you prefer, like, even if it were the same, would you prefer a 7/7 taunt with Death Rattle 7/7 taunt, or would you prefer this thing that gives you immediate initiative and then a 5/9 taunt?
So it has the correct stat distribution for both the rush part and the taunt part, and they're both adding up to 7/7.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculously good. Not much more has to be said about it. It's just so good.
Next, we have our first common. That one was rare. So next at 162. So this is like a 10-point drop from the 171 that is Qualifying Warlord. 162 is still really premium. Like, you know, we were talking about, like, well, Twin Tyrant is a 150, just to give you an idea. And it's not a 150 in Demon Hunter. We went over this before in the last Lightforge. Demon Hunters, like, even though these cards make it a little more control, and Twin Tyrants like went up a bit, it's still like it's still bad in Demon Hunter compared to other classes. But in a normal class, Twin Tyrant is like a little over 150. So this is better than that. This is a 162, and it is a Netherwalker. 2 mana, 2/2, Battlecry, discover a demon. So
demons are really good.
Demons are really good.
Demons are really good. If you're wondering how good a demon is, they're really good. We've seen a lot of these sorts of cards before, and you're giving up a stat, you get some card draw, you get, you know, you're not getting the amount of stats that you're supposed to get on the board, but you get an acceptable amount. And this is exactly what a classic Demon Hunter wants, in terms of draw. Small cards that gives you draw, right? And this is exactly it. It's perfect for Demon Hunter. They get to put something out on the board, which sometimes is perfectly acceptable for a 2-drop, and they get, on average, a really good card from it.
All right, next, 156. Priestess of Fury. This is a rare card, 7 mana. Again, like, Netherwalker is still like a card advantage kind of card. Qualifying Warlord is a large removal plus a huge taunt. Priestess of Fury is a 7 mana 6/7. End of your turn, deal 6 damage, randomly split among all enemies. So it's like a crappy board clear that repeats, plus like a large body. But like, it's very cost efficient.
So look, 156, very high. We want to stress that this is like very high.
This is like where Twin Tyrant is in most classes.
Yeah. So this is really, really high. The only problem, you know, if you want to identify a problem with it, also this just shows how good demons are. Right? This is a demon, so you could discover this from Netherwalker. You don't know where the 6 damage is going to go, and when you include their face, and I know sometimes you want it to hit face, it won't hit face. Sometimes you want to hit minions, it'll hit their face. You just don't exactly know what'll happen, and that can come back and bite you. With that RNG folded into there, it is still a 156, which is really good because, let's face it, you're not giving out much stats for this, and if you, like, you know, just distribute the damage once, it's already good. If you're able to survive 2 turns with it, it gets crazy insane. So I think this is appropriate. 156. Yeah.
155, basically the same, is the next card, another rare card. So you'll notice a lot of these really good cards for Demon Hunter Ashes of Outlands are rare, which means they're going to be seen significantly less often than common cards, but they do still have the bonus from being in the new set, so you're still going to see them a decent amount. Like, if you're thinking of it, oh, it's rare, I'm not going to see them as much, you're going to be surprised how often you see them. If you think of it as, like, if you don't look at rarities when you look at cards, you're like, oh, I'm going to see all cards the same, you're going to see them a little bit less than you think. So keep that in mind. Skull of Gul'dan is 5 mana, draw 3 cards. 5 mana, draw 3 cards, looks like Nourish, but it has the extremely good ability, Outcast, reduce their cost by 3. And this is a card where, so first of all, reducing 3 card by 3, that's like 9 mana that you gain from a 5 mana card, in addition to the card draw, so that's kind of insane. Second, the Outcast is going to trigger. It's going to trigger because you're not going to want to draw cards until you've spent almost all your other cards, so this card is just going to end up being your far left card, which is going to trigger Outcast. And if you don't know what Outcast is, because you haven't been paying attention to the Demon Hunter stuff, Outcast means it's like almost like a Battlecry ability, just an ability that triggers if it is the leftmost or rightmost card in your hand.
Yep. So the algorithm has taken into account, it's like, how often are you going to play it when you draw it immediately, which makes it Outcast, or how many times you are going to play it once you've played all of your other cards in your hand. And it's a decent amount, right? Like, this is a card that you are fine waiting on, but you don't always get the cost reduction. Like, there are some times in which you just have to draw, right? So
I think you almost always get the cost reduction.
Quite often you can. So it's really, really freaking good. 155.
Yeah, like Twin Tyrant, right? Like, you don't argue with things that are like that good. Next one is Illidari Fellblade, form another rare card, 153, so basically the same, also Twin Tyrant level.
No, we're doing Ashes of...
Sorry.
Haha.
Okay. So the next one is actually an epic card, so even less frequently seen. Warglaves of Azanoth, 5 mana, 3/4. After attacking a minion, your hero may attack again, so it's Fool's Bane, except you can hit face.
You can go face!
With like your last hit. But it's otherwise Fool's Bane. And on top of that, it synergizes really nicely with your hero power, because your hero power gives +1 attack, which works on top of weapons. I think this is kind of the hero power they wish they could have made for Rogue. But at the time they wanted everything to be 2 mana. So it's a very flexible hero power, and it works really well with this by making this 4 attack. It's just really good. The reason it's not better than a 150, 151, like people may think this is like 200s level, is because unlike the warrior, when you're having stuff like this, it's actually better to be able to armor up than it is to get that synergy to deal the extra damage. Because you're hurting yourself so much with this weapon. Your hero power up to this point and in the future still hurts you. Like, you are not a warrior. You are a demon hunter. And this is kind of a liability for removal.
Yeah. And that's like taken into account, right? Like, at a 151, really good, but holds it back a little bit just because of the nature of demon hunters. And they have some heals, talked about those, but if you're using this, those heals aren't going to be enough on average.
But like, and keep looking at all the cards we looked at so far. Coilfang Warlord, card removal plus huge taunt. Netherwalker, card draw. Priestess of Fury, removal plus just a huge card. Skull of Gul'dan, draw 3 cards. Warglaives of Azanoth, huge like board clear / like just large card. And next is our first common card coming in Ashes of Outlands for Demon Hunter at a 148, Immolation Aura. 2 mana, deal 1 damage to all minions twice. So it's like 1 mana less for a Volcanic Potion. And it's a board clear. It's a double-sided board clear too. So you have just added... So the next card's going to be a little bit farther down, but these cards are all similarly rated. So you have just added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards into your set that are super powerful. These are all 150 or above, so like Twin Tyrant or better levels, basically. 6 cards into the pool that are that good and all about control. Like, they may be rares for the most part, instead of commons, but that's a lot of support for this control archetype that can emerge in Demon Hunters. You still got your hero power, which hurts you. You still don't have any heals that are like that powerful, up here at this ranking at least, for card quality. But you're going to be able to start looking at some control stuff with this class that your base set does not give you.
Yep. All right. Next, we have Ashtongue Battlelord. 4 mana for a 3/5 minion with Taunt and Lifesteal. Senjin is crying somewhere. This is just a Senjin with Lifesteal. Lifesteal is really good.
Insanely good for Demon Hunter.
Insanely good for Demon Hunters. And that's sort of why it's so high. Nothing fancy about it. It's really just like, how good is Taunt plus Lifesteal for a classic Demon Hunter? Ridiculously good. That's why it's a 130. Cool.
139.
Yeah.
So it's Rap Golem. Well, of good. Like don't sleep on this card. It's not Twin Tyrant level, but it's Rap Golem level. But it is Twin Tyrant level. Like Twin Tyrant is not that good for Demon Hunter.
For Demon Hunter, this is like
but because it doesn't taunt, it doesn't heal. It like you play a Twin Tyrant, your opponent goes face, you're still screwed.
All right, next card. I think some people will think that it's a 300. Some people will. I don't know what people think.
It's hard.
I stopped trying to think what other people think. But this is Imprisoned Antaine. 5 mana, 10/6 demon. Holy cow. Dormant for 2 turns. When this awakens, deal 10 damage randomly split among all enemies. It's a 134. That's high. But I think for some people, not high enough. So, how do we arrive here?
All right. You play it on 5. It sleeps for 2 turns. It pops up as essentially a 7 mana 10/6 that you were able to play for 5 mana. But you played it on an earlier turn. Basically, like if you were to play all your mana, right, for a 7 curve one, you get this. Now, 7 mana 10/6, pretty good. But more important than that, it has this ability where it deals 10 damage randomly split among all enemies. That cleans up stuff. So this is the kind of ability you want off of a dormant one. Because once you go dormant, you're going to lose the board. To the extent you haven't already. Because you've just spent 5 mana doing nothing. Your opponents are going to control the trades. They're going to get good trades because they control the trades. And after that, your dormant wakes up, cleans up the board and all the advantage that your opponents got from the good trades, and then puts a overstated minion on the board. So you wipe out your opponent's gains on the board. They'll still get the phase damage if they chose that, but if they chose to do the good trades, you have a very high chance of wiping that out. And you get some phase damage, you get some incidental damage, and you place an oversized minion on them. Right? Like, that's all really, really good stuff. Otherwise, and this is the thing that you really want to do, but you probably can't in the arena, you imprisoned, you find a way to, because you're Demon Hunter, you can deal all sorts of damage by the precise amounts. So between a Chaos Nova, which deals 4 damage to everything, and your random damage removals, you get it. So the Imprisoned Hyena basically comes up onto the board against a more or less empty board, and it deals like almost 10 damage to the opponent's base. That's like another way to make this into an ideal situation, because then your opponents are about to die and you're a Demon Hunter, right? So you'll make it happen.
Yep.
So it's good.
Yeah. I definitely want to play around with this card, because here's the thing, like, this score once again is the average, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with this being at a 134. It's just hard for me, like, when you're dormant for 2 turns, I can imagine in vanilla situations what'll happen, but we're not in a vanilla meta, right? So it's just hard for me to really conceptualize, especially with a new freaking class. Like, I'm not doing this with Druid, I'm not doing this with Mage, I'm doing this for a new class that I haven't played with all these new cards. It's sort of hard for me. So once I, start playing in this new meta, I'm just going to retire for Demon Hunters. I want to try out this card. This is like the card that is going to be an auto pick for me, because I just want to test it out. I want to see this in effect, because its impact on the game it's just so hard for me to exactly process. So I think the score is fine, like when I kind of think about it, but I want to see it in action. Like I want to see this in play.
Okay, so next up, and you're gonna see a lot of Demon Hunter cards because there's double the amount of common and rare cards that you normally get because they're trying to boost Demon Hunters up to catch up to the other classes. Next is a 125, which is basically where a big ol' whelp is. It's a 2-mana 3/2 Murloc called Furious Felfin, and it has a battle cry that if your hero attack this turn, gain +1 attack and rush. So that means on turn 2, it's a Raptor. On turn 3, it's a 4/2 Rush. And every turn after that, it's a 4/2 Rush. You just have to use your hero power. Because your hero power allows you to attack. And 2 mana for a 4/2 Rush is really freaking good.
That's insane. That's like super insane.
Yes.
We'd be talking about like this being one of those cards that should have never been printed if it was just a 2 mana 4/2 rush.
Yes, but the conditional is that you do have to use your hero power, and your hero power has to like be good for something, or else it becomes like a 3 mana 4/2 rush, which is still pretty good. But not as super good anymore.
Yeah. So this is a what is it? 125.
125. Yep.
Yeah, still quite good. Part of the problem, or not really problem, is like it's just not as good on curve. It's still like good, it's decent, but any card that doesn't give you that, like this is such a well-designed card in that on turn 2 it is what it is. On turn 3 it's like good, but it's not game-breakingly good.
Because on turn 3, what are the chances you can use your hero power for something useful when you're already dealing 4 damage to something else, right?
Right. And then after that, well, it doesn't matter that much, right? It doesn't exactly matter that much. So this is just one of those incredibly well-designed cards that, because they took the awkwardness into effect and into consideration, this isn't broken at all. Even though if you look at it, you're like, whoa, this is something like this is supposed to be broken, but it definitely just isn't. Yeah.
Yep. Going down, a more normal card. This one is Crimson Sigil Runner, 1 mana 2/1, Outcast, draw a card. It's a 117.
It's quite high for a 1 mana 2/1.
Yep.
It's just because if you're able to draw a card on a card this small, the effect is so good compared to the size of the card. Like if you're drawing one card on like a 10 mana 14/14, you don't really care. Like, or that effect is really small. This is like about as big of an effect as you're gonna get. The problem is like proccing it is not exactly easy, and if you're waiting a long time, the card
I would say the other way. I would say proccing it is the easiest. It's only 1 mana. You play it whenever you top deck it. That's what it's meant for.
No, definitely. But like by that time, a 1 mana 2/1 for free, quote unquote, isn't like that relevant. Yeah.
But that's why it's well designed, right? Because at that point, when you draw a 1 mana 2/1, you're like, oh no, and instead you're like, okay, fine. You've eliminated the downside of the 1 mana 2/1. Whereas the upside, if you like keep it in your starting hand, which you probably shouldn't unless you desperately need 1-drops, it's still a 1 mana 2/1 on turn 1, which is not bad.
Yep.
Okay, after that, we are going to get to Spectral Sight, 106. Draw a card, Outcast, draw another. So at best, it's 2 mana to draw 2 cards. And it's conditional. So it's not that good. But it's draftable, it's Yeti level, draftable, playable. 2 mana, draw 2 cards, you gotta wait for it a bit. Or if you're desperate, 2 mana, draw 1 card, it's fine.
It's okay. It's a 106.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are going to disagree with that.
Yep. Next up, epic card, Pick Commander. This one's 92, which is around where your like gnomish inventors are. Is there a big card around here? Burly Shovelfist is around here. Boulderfist Ogre is around here. Burly Shovelfist is the 9 mana 9/9 rush. So it's okay. It's not like the greatest, but it's okay. You wouldn't want it in your deck, but you'll take it. It's Pick Commander, 9 mana 7/9 taunt. At the end of your turn, summon a demon from your deck. So that sounds really good, but it's missing quite a large amount of stats for a 9 mana card if you don't summon the demon. And you are expected, like, it may seem like there's a crap ton of demons, but there isn't. There's actually not that many demons in the Demon Hunter, which is
even
also
when you
why
summon a demon. Like, if you just summon an average-sized minion, like, I don't know what the average-sized demon is, but if you're summoning an average-sized minion, it's like, okay, you got what you were supposed to get.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's what it is, right? Like you're decent, you have a good chance to get what you're supposed to get, but like you're not going to get multiples. And by the time it's turn 9, and whenever you want to play this card, you've already drawn half your deck at least. So you really need quite a few demons to make this work. And if you don't have any demons left in your deck, this card is like bad, like actually bad. So
Yeah.
like I could see like end of your turn, summon a demon from your deck. Seems like, oh, you just keep getting demons. This is really good. Demons are good, but there's just not like enough demons. Now, if you have a deck that has like 4 demons in it, this card is great. But you have to know like what your deck is doing. Okay, moving on. We have next a 6 mana common card. We rated this one at 84, which is around what's a large card around this? Like a Reckless Rocketeer. That's not even a good comp. That's a weird card. I don't know. It's not good. It's a Fell Summoner, 6 mana, 8/3. Death Rattle. Summon a random demon from your hand. So it's like a Void Caller that comes out on turn 6. Void Caller's good. This card is not.
Bad.
Yeah.
84 is really bad, guys. So, yep.
Yeah. Like the most important thing to remember about taking a card from your hand and putting it onto the board is that you're basically just like gaining mana. You don't get the extra card. You always had that card. So you've just gained whatever mana it would have cost to put that card on the board. And you gain it on the Death Rattle, so it's a delayed gain. And your opponent may be able to control it when it comes out at a good time. Maybe. Are we done? We may be done.
Yep, we're done.
Yay! Well, okay, Legendaries. There's 2 Legendaries. We'll go over them very quickly. Let's go over the bad one first before we go over the good one.
The good one is... So, guys,
we'll talk about the good one when it comes. Let's talk about this one first. The bad one is... It's not bad. It's good. It's a 123. Like, you want it in your deck. Yeah. It's a 4 mana, 3/5 charge. Kane Sun Fury. And it has an ability that says, all friendly attacks ignore taunt. So... It gets rid of all the taunts as long as this is on the board, and it's a 4 mana 3/5 taunt. 3/5 charge. Remember that a 4 mana 4/3 charge is pretty good from the Warriors. So this one is also pretty damn good.
It's good. Like a 123 is quite good. I know we're in the land of like 150s and 170s, but like it's really good. Look, this in constructed, I don't know what the meta is going to be, but like when you can synergize around this and like I don't know how many tons there are going to be as well, but like the effects can be insane. In Arena, most of the time it's going to be quote just a 4 mana 3/5 charge, and sometimes, you know, not like 0, but you know, sometimes you will be able to ignore taunt and hit their face, and that's nice. But it's not an insane card. It's not broken. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now for the cards you wanted to talk about. This is a card that the score was so high that Merps was like, no. What? How's it that good? And then I broke it down and he's like, okay. It's freaking busted.
This is 244, which it breaks my mind.
All right. I'll explain the card. It is a 5. So okay, 244. It's good. It's almost Zephyr's level good to give you an idea. Zephyr's comes out as a 254 in Demon Hunter. So this is not quite Zephyr's, but pretty much Zephyr's. It's a 5 mana card. It's a legendary card, so you won't see it often. It's a spell. It says swap your hero power to deal 5 damage. So that deal 5 damage only costs 1 mana. It doesn't change the mana cost. After 2 uses, swap it back. Okay. So either for 7 mana, you get to deal 5 damage however you want to deal. Dealing 5 damage should probably cost 4 mana in a card. So you are using only 1 card and you're saving a mana. But one of your uses has to be delayed. So that's still really good. That's like better than a fireball levels of good. But the most important part is that this could be a turn 7 Pyroblast to your opponent's face. There's a reason Pyroblast is turn 10. There's a reason Pyroblast is not turn 7. Turn 7 Pyroblast is freaking insane. I don't even know how else to put it. They only have 30 health. A lot of their heals probably aren't even online yet, or they thought that they were safe from playing them.
So, guys, when we talk about turn 7, we know that you can't use it twice. We mean that you play it on turn 6, and then turn 7, that's when you do the extra charge. We're not saying on turn 7 you'll like double do it.
By turn 7, you will have dealt 10 damage to your opponent's face.
On turn 7, you have finished the Pyroblast.
Yeah. And they can't do anything to prevent it. This isn't like, oh, I can taunt it, because they can't do anything about it. They can play a heal if they like have it.
On turn 7, you still have 6 additional mana if you have like other stuff that you want to do. You can still do that.
Yeah.
So, yes, I don't want you guys misunderstanding, because I see a lot of these like, oh, these guys don't understand how it works. No.
That's not, you don't think about it in the way that like, oh, it's delayed damage. The delay gives your opponent a chance to play Battlecry heals and nothing else. Unless and all the good heals, by the way, are not Battlecry heals, at least in the neutral cards. They're all Death Rattle heals now. So they don't come into play. You have to have your class heals that are Battlecry heals. You have your hero power heals for 2. They'll definitely play once you start doing this and going face. But yeah, that's where this insane power comes from. Yeah.
So I see this comment in chat made by Taro. I think this is a good kind of comparison where he compared it to Gladiator's Longbow, except it can go through taunts, and you are able to complete it earlier. Like you're able to complete it much earlier.
One turn earlier.
Yes. And like with Gladiator's Longbow, both turns you can't get taunted, right?
Yeah.
Like and then
and it also takes up your weapon slot for whatever.
And it also takes up your weapon slot, although this takes up your face slot, which I don't know. Your hero power slot.
Yeah.
And how good is that? I think some people are It's like if you think, oh, I'm aggressive, and this just comes out one turn earlier. No. That that is worth the 100 points. Like that is worth the 100 points. On top of the fact that this can go through taunts. If you're saying that, like, oh, well, it just comes out one turn earlier, you haven't played aggro.
Once you have this card in your hand, it's not even aggro, because let's be honest, you're not really going to build an aggro deck most times. You're going to build a mid-range deck with Demon Hunter, maybe even a slower mid-range deck. But once you have this card in your hand, just like once you get a Pyroblast from your mage, your whole strategy changes. So you're pushing because you know this card is in your deck. But then, to whatever extent you slow down or whatever, like, at worst, it's basically a Pyroblast. And at best, it means you get it anytime before turn 6. Or, like, by turn 6. It changes everything. And even if you don't get it by turn 6, even if you get it on turn 7 or 8, you're still ahead of a Pyroblast.
Yeah. So, look, do I think it's 244? I don't know. That number scares me. I can't even count higher than 10, so 244 scares me a little bit. Do I think that this is like really, really freaking good? Do I think it's like 200-ish? Yeah, I do. So here's the thing, and this is where we might be in disagreement, right? Like, if you think that, if you want to say, Merps, I think this is like a 190 instead of a 244, I think I agree with you there. But then I also think, what is really the difference if we're talking about 190 versus 244? Like, once you get to that stratosphere, it doesn't really matter. Like, differences when you're
would you take this or Zephyrs?
Yeah, I would take this.
Well, I mean, you should take Zephyrs. Our tier list rates Zephyrs 10 points higher.
I think
it's
I would
like
take
close.
This, but like, I think I would actually take this in terms of if I'm making this sort of deck that I envision. I think I would take this because of the restriction on Zephyrs and the fact that if I'm drafting that low, like, you know, I would actually like.
Oh yeah, if you're drafting like a fast deck, then definitely this. I'm thinking of like a mid-range. Kind of
you're discussing mid-range average deck. Sure.
You know, a deck that's appropriate for this meta.
I know.
But yeah, that's the bomb here. I mean, it's a legendary card. You don't really have to worry about it too much. You never have to play around it. If someone plays it against you, immediately start healing as much as you can, clearing their board, taunting, all this stuff. I got chocolate chip cookies.
You got chocolate.
Thank you, Natasha.
Negotiated with the terrorists.
All right. Okay, so that's it. I'm gonna go eat my cookies now. Do you want to give a summary of how Demon Hunter is gonna work in this new meta and what it's doing?
Sure, definitely. Okay, look, let's while you enjoy your cookies. All right, let's talk about Demon Hunter and the last great aggro hope. And essentially what we've talked about in terms of aggro is pretty much dead. If there was any class that could do it, it would be Demon Hunter. They have the tools. We talked about a lot of the cards, and even though Ashes of Outlands gives them a lot of sustain power, they have that. You can play like a pretty good mid-range Demon Hunter with all the cards that they've got, with all the clears that they have, with all of their cards that generate other stuff, whether it's on the board or in your hand. They are the class that is most appropriate for going aggro if you choose to go aggro. So definitely take that in mind. You know, I don't want you guys to think that because of the way that we have structured this conversation, that we structured this discussion, that like incremental stats don't matter, that tempo doesn't matter at all. It obviously matters. You have to play smart. And if you are going to use a class to take advantage of those incremental gains, wow, it's definitely the Demon Hunter. The hero power is so efficient and so useful. You are able to deal exact damage lots of times because of weapons, plus or minus your hero power. That's incredibly useful, right? And dealing exact damage is exactly what you want to do. It's something that differentiates the Demon Hunter from a weapon class like the Paladin, in which, from meta to meta, they can either deal like 1 damage or 4 damage with their face, which makes it really awkward. So that's what we want to kind of push forward. Play a nice aggressive mid-range style, control the board. You have to do that risk assessment that you do with a lot of aggressive decks. And yeah, it's nice to have the Coilfang Warlords. It's nice to have the big cards and the Skull of Gul'dans. But you will and you should trend a little bit smaller or a little bit lighter, not exactly smaller, but a little bit lighter than the other decks. And you want to take advantage and get the board. And then after that, you just play smart. Like don't like overextend into AoEs and the most common swing cards, but also don't just sort of take what we said and push it to the extreme and say nothing on the board matters. They still do matter, and they matter the most when you're Demon Hunter.
Yeah, I think that's a good summary of how the aggressive side of Demon Hunters work. Because no matter what happens, you still don't have a lot of heals in this class.
No.
So yeah, you may have the control cards, but you're always on a clock in the same way Rogue is on a clock. Like you could play a control-ish kind of Rogue, but you guys know how that goes. Like you're still in a precarious position a lot of times. And in a swing meta, you're in a precarious position for 1 turn in the mid game, you're done. So you want to be on the board. Even if you're control, you want to be on the board. And you get on the board by getting that like exact damage, like removals and stuff that Merps was talking about. One more thing to know about Demon Hunter is that to no one's surprise, it has the most powerful class cards compared to the other classes at the top. Its 11 best cards are class cards. You can't say that about any other class. But Hunter, Mage, and Shaman all get really freaking close. Like, so close that it basically is indistinguishable from Demon Hunter. So it's not like Demon Hunter, like, has a ton of better cards than the other classes. But it's definitely tier 1 in terms of card quality. So that will also matter quite a bit, a good deal. And a disproportionate amount of their best cards have offering bonuses. Because of Ashes of Outland. So this is going to be a very interesting class because you're entering a meta. We'll think about it this way. Right here, I would make the statement right now, and I will stand behind it, and I think time will prove me right. This right here is the worst meta possible for Demon Hunter. And Demon Hunters are going to be okay in this meta.
Okay.
So when the meta changes, when the wild rotation actually kicks in, whether they get rid of all these Demon Hunters, like you may think, oh, they're going to get rid of Ashes of Outlands and all the Demon Hunter cards, what are we going to do? No. In any other meta, Demon Hunters will be more powerful. So if Demon Hunters are super powerful in this meta, you have a design problem at Blizzard, at least with Arena, that they're going to have to micro-adjust Demon Hunters down the same way they micro-adjust Rogues down every single meta, or else stuff is going to happen. So in this meta, I don't think Demon Hunters are going to be like the best, but they'll be okay. And in other metas. Alright. That's it for Demon Hunters. We spent a lot of time on it because it is the new class and it has the most cards. We're going to go a little bit faster, and by a little bit, I mean twice as fast, for all the other classes. Until then, let's give some shout-outs. I want to give a shout-out first to Brand New for bringing me these cookies, to 4P for bringing Merp's cookies, which inspired my cookie rant, and that inspired Brand New bringing me cookies. This is how cookies work, right? It goes around the circle of cookies. I also want to give a shout out to all of our Patreons. You have the list of names.
Yes.
All of our Patreons. This is the Light Forge.
So 4P, Aaron L, Cheng Yin, Dan F, Eric L, Feldingox, Jordan W, Math and Carnage, RV Night Train, Torjado, and Yin. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys so much. We'll come back with Druid next. See you guys.
Bye.